to another episode of The Heart of the Matter. Today we're going to be talking about understanding in marriage. As with all things, when you want to become the best in your career, you spend time training, you go to the best schools. With marriage as well, you need to spend time learning about marriage and understanding in marriage. Today we have 3 guests who are going to be sharing their experiences in their marriage. And we're also going to be drawing from Dr. John Gray's book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Welcome to The Heart of the Matter. Thank you for coming. Could you please tell us your name and also how long you've been married for and what you do?
Okay, my name is Toju Olaitan. I've been married for, it'll be 9 years this year. Wow. I'm a knowledge manager. I work with ARM. What I do involves a lot of training, coaching, career management, performance management, and I've been at it for about 10 years now.
Okay, my name is Funto Ibuoye and I've been married for 7 months. I currently work as a brand management professional with a beauty company, and I also run an initiative for young women.
I'm Dr. Mrs. Nkem Okoro. I'm Federal Republic of Nigerian officer, so I work with Federal Ministry of Education as Quality Assurance Officer. I've been married for over 31 years, and I also coordinate a ministry called The Wife.
Okay, so our first discussion point is something that Dr. Gray refers to, Mr. Fix-It or Home Improvement Committee. So basically what he says is that as a woman, when a man is, going through doing something, a woman always wants to give advice. And for a man, he looks at it like, you don't trust me, like, I don't, you're seeming like you know it all. And so women adopt Home Improvement Committee. And on the other hand, with the man, the woman wants to express herself when she's, when she's going through something. And with the man, he always wants to quickly prefer solutions. So you're trying to express yourself and he's like, okay, but you can do this, and then she's like, no, I'm not looking for your solutions, So a man is called Mr. Fix-It. I don't know if you've experienced it in marriage. So how can we help our spouses without being critical? You can start with Toju.
It's a learning curve because I'm very outspoken. Like, so if I don't like something, I say it immediately, like the next second. But my husband takes his time. He would leave you to maybe make the mistake and let it all be. So initially, I was the typical nagging wife. Oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. All those kind of things. But communication is very, very important, Even after reading books, after maybe dating and experiencing it for some time, it's still difficult. You still have to learn about the person, understand. But it's very, very important for you to communicate at every time. So in line with expressing myself, I always try to ask, where did I go wrong? Because, he easily goes into his shell. So as long as there is open communication at all times, I think it helps it all.
I'm so sorry. You've only been married for 7 months.
Okay, well, yeah, I think I quite agree with her. I think it still boils down to communication and understanding. There's an experience that I had while we were preparing for marriage. We just got an apartment and we wanted to move in. So I had this idea of the kind of curtains that I wanted in the house, and then I just told my husband, okay, this is what I want, and then he went to the market and he bought it, and then the next time I went to the house, I saw the curtains and I did not like, I just did not like it. So I was like, what, this is not what I want, I don't like it. And you know how women are, we're just all over the place. I was going to remove it, I know. But then after I shouted, he couldn't understand why I was, what exactly of the curtains and all that. But I realized that after a while, he went back to the market and changed the entire curtains and got what I really wanted. But thinking back, I could have handled that situation better. I could have, just told him nicely, like, oh, okay, well, this is not exactly what I want. And then, we can always walk through it to get something else anyways. But I didn't have to, shout and nag and say no. So it still boils down to communicating and understanding. Yeah.
Dr. Nkem?
Well, I've been married for 31 years.
First of all, I have to, say, well done. Because in this day and age and generation, you hardly hear of people being married for that long.
Yes, and when you talk about understanding, I'm still at it.
After 30
Yes,
years,
after
okay.
31 years. And I think understanding takes quite a while because human beings, we are so complex that you cannot say you've really known somebody in and in. Different situations might result to different actions and depending on the mood of the person. So it's an issue that everyone has to put their heads down to keep trying to understand. And I will say that it's very important. Understanding is one of the major pillars in relationship. For a relationship to be successful, one really has to work on it. And what example do I have to give? Maybe I'll give on the spiritual aspects. Like you said, the men are like solution, just to solve the solution. The women, we want to say it the way it is, have a listening ear. So one example I would like to comment on was when I was falling sick frequently. My husband is a pastor, and immediately I said I'm not feeling too fine. Right there and then, he has started praying. So one of the days I said, hold it. That's not the way I want it this time. I would like us to sing some choruses, and before the prayers. My little daughter was there. She screamed, Mommy refused these prayers. And in my heart, I said, this borders on understanding. Actually, I wasn't feeling fine, but I wasn't expecting prayers immediately. I wanted to be heard, to be listened to, so that people will understand how I'm getting anxious of my ill health. But like husbands and men, the way they are, he wants solution, he wants the wife. So understanding is very vital, and it takes a lot of time and effort. And I say both parties should listen to each other patiently.
Okay, another thing let's talk about is stress. So I'm married, so I've been married for 9 years next week, actually, this month. And I find that with stress, I like to, if I'm going through something, I like to talk about it. But with men, on the other hand, women like to express, but men sort of go into a shell. So they go silent, and then they just try to fix it, try and, look for how to come out of it. And for me, for a while, I didn't really understand. I thought, did I make a mistake? Or we mismatched? Because me, I just like to talk. But my husband doesn't really like to talk. And it really, initially, especially in our first year, it was really tough trying to understand, I like to talk now, and he doesn't. So how do you understand the stress coping mechanism of your spouse? Because at the same time, yes, they're wired in a certain way, but you need to be able to come together. It needs to work. The marriage needs to work. Because you both cannot deal with it separately. So how do you come together, to deal with stress? And how, as a woman, how do you understand your husband's stress coping mechanism? And how do you now help him in the way he needs to be helped without actually changing his personality?
I would say my husband always have a very long group for everything. He's very patient, both with people, with issues. He's cool and calm. But I'm the opposite. I have a very short rope for every issue. I'm really fast at handling things. And when he's stressed, because of his nature, it's difficult for me to actually pick out or know the extent. But with time, I've noticed that his style of life, they cope with stress much more than people that are snappy like myself.
Now, just like Dr. Nkem said, my husband is very patient as well. He doesn't really go into a shell, but he takes time to solve his, whatever issue that he's going through. But one thing that has helped is he tells me immediately when something is, he opens up immediately. Now, that can be, initially I thought, I understood it the other way as, okay, he's telling me so I can fix the problem, tell him where he went wrong, shouldn't have done this, and all that. But I found that, no, that's his way of opening up and sharing. And he does so gradually. So, you know, when you pray about it, when you ask the Holy Spirit to guide you, you know, I think it will also help. And I think looking for things to help them distress, you know, understanding your partner and things that you think can help them distress. My husband likes to play video games. So if I see that, okay, we've talked up to an extent, and I see that, oh, he's playing video games, or he's researching something, or he's going around the house trying to fix things, I know, okay, that's his way to distress. And I try to just leave him to do that. Sometimes I will say, okay, go for a walk, encourage walks or things. But you have to just be intuitive. You can't just leave the person for a while. And I encourage him to hang out with friends, you know.
So on a woman's side, though, a woman likes to. Well, actually, let's go on a quick break. We'll come back to that. Viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to the heart of the matter. We're still talking about understanding in marriage. So we're talking about, on the flip side, in terms of coping with stress, a woman likes to talk. Like me, I just like to talk. But my husband doesn't really like to talk. How does a woman get her husband to talk to her? Because it's important for a woman that likes to talk.
Well, for me, I think that I have an opposite husband, so to speak, because every other person usually says that their husband is quiet, is more reserved, he doesn't easily open up. But I find that my husband is really opposite. I actually even realized that when I have issues that we want to talk about, I cannot exactly come to him to talk about it. But because I like to write, so I write him a long note of how exactly I feel, because I feel that writing would make me express everything I want to say properly, and then I put it by its bedside and he will. But when he has an issue that he wants to talk about, he will lock us in the room and we will talk it out that way. So I don't know if, but that is how we make sure that we talk about everything and anything, even when we're having issues between ourselves, even when it's midnight, we're awake in the midnight talking and sorting out issues. But when he has stress, maybe from work or other areas, he talks about it, tells me first, we pray about it, we go into the word, we search for scriptures relating to whatever it is going through, and we pray about it. And then I find that I just let him be, I just let him, he likes watching movies or whatever he wants to do. I just let him be for a particular moment and not try to cloud him and, bother him with whatever it is he's going through. So I think basically that's how, just talking it out and, helping each other through.
I would like to comment here that talking is communication. It should be two-way. It should be two-dimensional. So when you say something, you expect a response. So if you are engaging a man that doesn't talk, by the time you make some comments, you wait for his response.
I think also, like what worked for us was when we talked about it. So I said, look, I like to talk. You need to hear me out. And we decided, okay, you know what? When we come back from work, even though we haven't followed through as diligently as we should, spend 30 minutes together and just.
That's something my husband and I did. Like, this our generation, so everything is phone, iPad, There was a time it was so bad. My husband and I will be on the bed, we'll be chatting on Instagram or Twitter with ourselves, and we're on the same bed. So at some point, we had to, this is what we do now. Once it's 9 o'clock, no phones in the room. So 9 o'clock to 10, even if it's just 1 hour, then 10, if you're still awake, can do whatever else you want to do. But there's just 1 hour where there's no phone, there's no gadgets, no nothing. It's just us. I think it's really necessary in this generation.
Well, definitely, because there's so many distractions now.
A whole lot.
Mobile phones,
Exactly.
TV. What do you think about TV in the bedroom?
I would say that couples should be disciplined, because most of the time couples don't spend adequate time together talking.
Exactly.
So it's discipline, being intentional.
Yes, there's no way you can understand yourself except when you share your thoughts, you share your feelings, and you need to be together for that to happen. So I say wherever the TV is not the issue. The issue is to be disciplined on how you use it, but create enough time for interaction together, to spend time together. Yes, because we communicate with our body as well, not just voice. Voice is only 7%, but body language carries a lot. So if you are not there and I'm seeing you, listening, watching your body language, I might not get everything that is being communicated. So we recommend spending adequate time together.
I think what I hear from our discussion is you need to be intentional about it. So what I think what happens is a lot of people take these things for granted, and you just find that. I mean, I remember someone telling me that when her husband traveled, she actually didn't realize they hadn't actually spoken in a week. They had chatted on BB social, but they actually hadn't spoken, verbally. So we need to be conscious of the fact that, you know what, this is another human being. We need to spend time together. So like you said, it doesn't matter where the TV is, just be intentional and be disciplined. So let's talk about motivation. So a woman is motivated by when she feels cherished. So a woman feels loved and cherished, and then she's motivated, she's inspired to do things, but a man feels motivated, and this is according to the book, when he feels needed. So why is it that women feel motivated when they're cherished, and men when they feel needed?
It's a makeup. Looking at what the scriptures said, he said that husbands should love their wife, while women we should respect. And in respecting somebody, you appreciate the person, you affirm the person. So men thrive on that, that they're significant, they're important in your life, it matters a lot.
So how do you show a man respect?
It's an attitude. It's not, people...
Is it innate? Does it just come, or do you have to be conscious and actually, okay, I need to show you I respect you?
No, it's an attitude. If you have value on the man, it will show from your attitude. It will flow out. So of everything, the value you have for him, the way you see him, the way a man should be handled, they will all reflect in your...
This present generation, a lot of women are working. A lot of women, unfortunately, are probably earning more than, I think it was even spoken in services, a lot of women are earning more than their husbands. And whereas men, genetic makeup should be the provider, like we heard here, he needs to feel needed. So a man that maybe due to challenges is not able to provide at the time may feel a bit insecure, may have some low self-esteem. A woman who is providing and who is, yes, helping out, but she may eventually feel that, okay, she may, without knowing it, begin to disrespect or look down on her husband. Now, we find that this is common in our generation. How can this issue be solved? How does a woman who is earning more than her husband, or a man who is facing challenges, how can they relate to each other and still have respect?
For me, I think it boils down to trusting each other. Yes, okay, for instance, for me, before we got married, my husband, because of what he does, he doesn't get a regular income. I get a regular income every month, and then I used to earn so much more than him. I think the first time we had the discussion about finance, I realized that I was earning 5 times more than he was getting. And, you know, but what kept me going was, I know this man. I know that he knows what he's called to do in life. I know that he knows his purpose and he's consciously working towards fulfilling his purpose. I'm not trying to say, oh, because I make more money, I'm going to be the head of. That's not my place. I don't even want to be.
So for a woman,
someone who was in this situation, whose husband wasn't as secure, he was initially secure, but, you know, outsiders, friends, people would come in and say, you know, you shouldn't allow her to do this, you shouldn't do this, and all that. She should. Anyway, there was outside influence. And she said she knew that she had to do something because her husband, who was initially secure, now started having issues with the fact that she earned more, wanted her to resign, you know, just so she said before she used to do it, but she didn't used to consciously make him see. For instance, bills in the house, she stopped paying it. She stopped, you know, and she would just meet him and say, honey, or whatever, I don't know, how are we going to sort this out? There's no this, there's no that. So, you know, maybe she appealed to his wanting to be needed or his fix-it side. So she's like, she just went to him like she was totally helpless. For instance, like Ashoebi or things that she would need and ordinarily pay for it, she would just go and meet him. It's my friend's wedding, I don't have Ashoebi, you buy it type of thing. So she said gradually, initially he would look at her because he's like, what game are you trying to play? Like, go and pay for it. But after a while, she said he started, you know, going out to be like, okay, my wife needs this money, I need to make sure that I provide it.
I think it boils down to that, because I remember I went to a summit last year, and I remember Fela Durote, we all know Fela Durote, a well-known motivational speaker, and his wife Tara, she owns the brand House of Tara, and she's very successful. And he said that even though, yes, Tara is this big woman out there, she's been on CNN, African Voices, and all of that out there, but when she gets home, she acts like a kitten, like she falls down and helpless outside, but she's a kitten, like she falls down in his arms, and you know. So like you said, making like what she did was correct. So maybe her normal thinking would have been, okay, she needs something, she'll sort it out. She'll sort it out. And then, okay, you can sort out everything. I don't need you. But okay, you know what? No, but you can sort it out, but go to him and ask him for his help. Do you agree?
Yes, I like the way she handled this, setting the proper foundation, that the position of the man in the family is different from that of a woman. God has placed him as the head of the family. So if you know how you respect and appreciate your boss, no matter what you do, you should also afford that to your husband.
So I listened, I can't remember, but recently someone said that, and I heard it, that a man is project driven. So when he wants to get married to a woman, it's a project. So he's focused on that project, and he will do anything to get her. So he will show all the love and all. But once they are married, there's a new project, which is probably, okay, how to pay the bills. So she's already, okay, I've sorted it. It doesn't mean I don't love you. You know, you have my own now. But he's focused on the next project. But a woman is like,
you know,
what happened to all that romance?
You know, short of being a nag, I went on, and you have to tell me, you have to do this, you have to do that. Then it became, he would just say it like a script. And I even hated that one more than him not saying it. So it's like the minutes before we leave the door, you look nice. I'm like, no, that's not what I want. So, you know, I just have to, I kept on reminding him for a while. Then I went into my shell, because I'm sometimes men can think that, okay, for you to feel cherished is that other thing that you do in the bedroom. And I'm like, no, it's sex. I'm sorry, there are two different things. To me, you know, it's like, we've not talked all day. You've not sent me text messages. Yes, I'm sorry. You have to make a conscious effort.
Exactly.
Yes, you've not, when we're dating, you used to send me poems, you used to send me lovely texts. Then it's now night time, and you want something, and I'm like, it's not. There's no button that we switch it off and on. No.
You're sending me text messages from work as I'm coming home. You're telling me how I look nice, the food I'm making. You're helping me in the kitchen. To just call, exactly.
You know, be following me like before. You used to follow me all around, hold my hand, stroke my hair, touch my dress. It's not. No, you have. It's a conscious, but like you rightfully said, you know, when it's not like they feel, okay, you're in my house and I don't need to do that anymore. It's just that maybe
they're just focused
on something else. So now it has to be deliberate. You have to make a conscious effort to continuously woo you.
One other thing I wanted to talk about was verbal and non-verbal communication. So a woman makes certain statements and she's just saying it, but men take it literally. So let me give you some examples. A woman may say, we never go out, and he'll say, that's not true, we went out last week. Everyone ignores me. I'm sure some people notice you. No one listens to me anymore, but I'm listening to you right now. Nothing is working. Are you saying it's my fault? That's what the Bible says. You don't love me anymore. Of course I do. That's why I'm here. I want more romance. Are you saying that I'm not romantic? Like, it seems like the man is defensive. So defense. While the woman is just, yes, she may mean, okay, we never go out. Yes, she knows you went out last week. Exaggerate. So how do we understand, how does a man, for men that are watching, how do they understand women's verbal and non-verbal communication?
We speak the way we feel for the moment. Exactly. So right now, I want you to pay attention to me, but I'm not getting it. But it's not good to generalize, like all those you've never done this. It's better to say right now, this is how I feel, this is what I want, rather than using one statement to knock off all the good ones you've received in the past. So women should be a bit more conscious about such comments. And you know, men are logical. Immediately he's getting, you've never done this, he's like, oh, all the ones I've been doing, she did not appreciate. So we should be a bit more understanding of their makeup. And they should understand that also, the woman's makeup, we speak her mind for the moment, and it's not that we are putting off all that we have enjoyed, because I've met a lot of husbands that say, my wife doesn't appreciate all I've been doing for her, for the kids and everything. And when you get to the wife, say, oh wow, my husband has been fantastic. Just yesterday or this morning he did this. So it's just the makeup of, like what we are discussing, understanding, for us to understand ourselves.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, and I really enjoyed this episode. I wish we could continue. But what I understand, what I've heard from our discussion is communication is key. So yes, we're different personalities, different backgrounds, but it's important that as a couple, you sit down and you talk about this. So this is how I feel, this is how you feel. And then, compromise. And then also be deliberate, intentional. So just don't take it for granted that my marriage is going to work. The same way you put in efforts in your office job or in, taking care of your kids, you need to be intentional about making it work. So as a man, be intentional. Pay attention to your wife. As a woman, understand that, okay, he may not like to talk, but know when he is able to talk. So there are certain times, like my husband will say, when I'm watching football, that you come and start. Know when
yourself. You're secondary at that moment.
You have to know when I want to, So thank you very much. I really enjoyed this episode, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Viewers, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you're going through challenges in your marriage, especially in the area of communication, please buy the book by Dr. John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and also Dr. Nkem's book, which is called The Wife. Until next week, stay blessed.